Hi everyone, today we have a new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to talk about fresh release from Miniart. It is made in 1/35 scale, of course, and what we have here is the Raupenschlepper OST RS0, but this time we get a version with a wooden shelter, so it's still part of their World War II military miniature series, and it continues lineup of this interesting small tracked vehicle in a popular scale. I reviewed the previous versions, so in case you are interested, you can find them easily on the same YouTube channel which you are watching right now. But today we are talking about this particular edition, which should be already available. So if you search for 53048, that's the kit which you can get from Modelimix, for example. And you can see we get a quite nice box art. It mimics the photo because I really like how it's depicted in action. And also you can see that the box size is standard. So here is comparison with my hand. I can even zoom out a bit more, and well, on this side here, well, on the box art actually we have the 144mm length specified for the assembled model. Here you can also see some safety advices and the address of the manufacturer. And then on the opposite side you'll find the mention that the decals are printed in cartograph, and here you can see also 3 marking options for this vehicle, but we will talk more about them when we will be checking the assembly manual, because that's where they have the marking guide. So this is the top opening box. And here's what we have inside. As you can see, all sprues, they are sealed into one plastic bag, and also we have assembly manual on the bottom. So this is quite a neat package, and we have also plenty of space inside, so I really doubt that something will arrive damaged to you. And the previous editions of this kit actually proved this theory that nothing was actually broken or, let's say, somehow warped due to the tight packaging. And at the same time, I should say that I'm not a huge fan of packing all of the parts into one plastic bag. It's always better to keep them in the separate bags. This way, everything will stay intact. So I suggest we start with the gray plastic, and then gradually we'll move on to the other elements as well. And what we have here on the first sprue, that's the suspension elements, of course. So I'll just open the lenses and zoom in, and now you should be able to see what we are talking about here. So these are the drive sprocket parts, and they are looking quite nice. They have also really good details from the opposite side. We even have some custom marks. You can see them here. And well, overall, I think all of these elements are looking good. Note that the shovel is molded together with the clamps, and we also have the screen wiper here, which is a bit on the thick side. I would rather prefer to have it out of PE parts, but I think it's better to get it in the standard package, at least in this shape, than not to get it at all. Next we continue with the tracks. So these are the plastic tracks, and surprisingly they are not the separate track links, even though you will get the separate track links as well, because you have to replicate some curves around the drive sprockets and the tensioners, for example. But this is still a design which will help you with the speed of the assembly, and also you can see that the surface features, they are looking quite nice. If camera will focus now, you can see what we actually get here. And that's what we get from the opposite side. So really good looking parts, thin attachment points. So I don't think it's a really huge task to do assembly of all of those parts together. Yes, it's a bit tedious, but it's not difficult. It's just more about the patience from you, and you should be fine. Next we continue with the sprue A. So this one is dedicated to the front cap parts. And I think first it's worth checking the whole layout. So here you can see it. And also we have some parts for the rear section, and as you remember we have the wooden rear part as well, so wooden cover, and that's why it will be provided on the separate frame. But what is cool is that we get the separate doors here, so you can open them, and I think it's a really important feature for 1/35 scale. And I'm just zooming in so that you can see all of these parts a bit closer. So as you can see, there is no wooden texture on the rear platform, but all of the surface details, they're looking quite nice. It's a 1/35 scale vehicle after all, so that's why it is quite important. And just to give you an idea about the windscreen size, here is comparison with my fingertip. It's not that big vehicle, and the same can be said about these doors. And as you can see here, we have some suspension parts. Those are the door inserts from what I can guess. And here we also have some parts for the lower hull section, because it will be assembled separately and then joined with the top superstructure, if we can call it so. But if I flip over this plastic sprue here inside, you can see also we have some guiding elements, or the guiding tabs. So it will also help you with the position and help align the parts properly without any additional headache. Next, we continue with the road wheels. So this frame is provided in two pieces. I'm showing you only one, but here is the second one, just so that you see. And as you can see, these are the metal wheels, so that's why you don't have to worry about the masking. They're just painted into the necessary color. And we also have some features from the opposite side as well, so even though some sections will not be visible, they are still here, and this is really great. Miniart does not skip on the features, and I think it's quite important in 1/35 scale model. Next, we continue with the separate track links, which I was mentioning. Again, two sprues of this type. Here's the second one. And, well, they are looking as good as the track sections, but they are also a bit smaller. Here you can see, again, the comparison with my fingertip. And, well, it just takes some time. There is no assembly jig for this part of the vehicle, so that's why be careful while joining them together for the proper alignment, and use the long setting glue. It will help you with the proper adjustment of the links. Next, we start with the parts for the rear wooden shelter. So as you can see here, we have several panels. This one is obviously the rear panel with the entrance door, and I guess that's the door. And because it's molded separately, it might be handy for some diorama ideas. And you can notice that the wooden texture is not here, but it's good because for modelers who don't like it, they don't have to do anything extra. For modelers who like the wooden texture, they can just add it with the help of paintwork. Next, we continue with additional details in terms of the wooden shelter. That's the external leather, and also here we have the folded tarpaulin, and I guess they are looking quite convincing, so here I don't have any complaints. Next, we have the engine included here. So this is another good feature about the Miniart kits, because as you can see, the nicely detailed engine is the standard part of the package. You don't have to buy it separately, and it might be also a good idea to expose it somehow on the vehicle, or if you don't plan to do so, then just do some basic paintwork and it will be fine, because it will be inside the vehicle obviously, and it will be not that visible. That's why I'm saying that it's good to plan how to expose it if you don't want to lose such feature on the finished model inside. Next, we also have the another drive sprocket parts. As you can see here, we have the I would say the outer parts. Note that the connections are between the teeth, which is a bit on the dangerous side. It always requires careful separation, so that's why pay attention on how you will be cutting off all of those parts. Next, we have another plastic sprue with the parts for the front cap, and here you can see also the seats, and both seats are molded as a single piece parts, as you can notice. And again, it's a good opportunity to play with weathering, because these parts will be visible even with the closed doors, but you can also open the doors, so it's also handy to show your skills in that area. Next, we have the wooden shelter panels on the new sprue, so I'm just zooming out so that you can see what we will be talking about here. As you can see, again, no wooden texture, but we have a really clever design, because these are large one-piece panels which should be combined together, and there are guiding elements which will help you with all of this stuff, so do not worry, it will be not a difficult thing to do. Next, we also have new side panels. They are looking like this. They are molded together with the metal furniture here. And next, we continue with the sprue B. That's the final one. And here we have the parts for the lower hull section. So I will just zoom out. And here you can see them. So overall, they are looking quite fine. And here I don't have any complaints, because it's basically the same parts which we got in the previous versions as well. It's just a matter of getting them together and also planning which elements you will be using. There are also some Pioneer tools provided here. You can see them in this area. And again, the tools are molded together with the clamps. So be ready for this, for some careful paintwork. I'm now cutting through the plastic bag for the clear parts. So just give me a second. and we will take a closer look together. Well, it's not exactly only the clear parts, we also have the PE parts packed together with the transparencies, so this is really interesting thing Miniart started doing recently, but as you can see, the clear parts are looking quite great. So there are only masks needed, and they are not included, well, traditionally for Miniart. And next we have the decals. So those ones are printed in cartograph, and as you can see, printing quality is looking good. I did not have any issues with the previous decals from Miniart, so I don't think you will have any issues here either. And next we also have really tiny PE thread, which is rather surprising for Miniart, but as you can see here, we have some additional things which you can add on your vehicle, and I can see the screen wipers here, so in case you are not eager to use the plastic parts, you can use the PE ones, which will be a bit more up to scale. And next we have the assembly manual. So this one is printed as the large color printed brochure, that's why I'm zooming out in order to fit it into the frame. Okay, so here we have the list of the features. It's mentioned that we have decals for 3 options. Here's the first marking option with the light camouflage on it, even on the front cap. So it might be a good choice to replicate actually. Then we continue with the parts map. Note that Miniart does not show which parts are unused, so that's why you should be careful, because sometimes you get the several versions of the same part. Assembly process starts with the lower hull section. Here it's a matter of combining all of the separate panels together. And then we continue with some outer panels. We start building the engine on those pages, and as you can see, it's a quite detailed power plant. That's why I was saying that it's a really good idea to expose it somehow. And the same can be said about the suspension, because as you can see, designers tried to replicate the most of the features, so that's why it will look more or less convincing. We also have here the front cap parts, and note that the manufacturer mentions the open door version as well, so there are some additional parts which you need to use. Then here we continue with the seats installation. We install the windscreen, and then we start working on the rear bed with the wooden shelter. And as you can see, the assembly is quite simple. We also have the option for the open rear door. We can install the leather here, the tarpaulin here, and I guess these are 2 different versions. As you can see, this one is only for the option 2, which you can see here. So the rear will be covered with the tarpaulin. But there is only folded version, by the way. And then we have also the third marking option. So again, with the wooden door behind, but it's also a working thing. And I think with some decent weathering, it should be looking quite convincing. So overall, we have another nice version of this Raupenschlepper in 1/35 scale. Of course, I will be happy to hear your opinions here in the comment section below. You can get it in Modelimix, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye.